It's the new Fred and Barney Show.
Hey, the Flintstones, brand new Flintstones, full of lots of fun and history. Flintstones, famous Flintstones, with their special kind of comedy.
Hey, Fred, it's the same old gang, you know.
Yeah, Vaughn, in a top new kind of show.
Flintstones, all new Flintstones.
Abba yabba dabba do time.
But just for you, time.
We'll have a great old time.
Hey, Fred, look, we're all new.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the HB AV Club. On today's show, I'm going to be talking about a release that honestly surprised me a little when I saw it announced, but seeing as I am in the camp that wants to see absolutely everything released on physical media, I'm thrilled to see Warner Archive digging deep into the HB library for new and surprising material. So today's discussion is going to be about the new Fred and Barney Show, which was a return to form of sorts for the Flintstones characters after the Pebbles and Bam Bam Show and the Flintstones Comedy Hour eventually ran their course and came to an end in the early 70s. The new Fred and Barney Show debuted on February 3rd, 1979, and it aired on NBC, reintroducing the basic half-hour sitcom format that was established by the original 60s series. Fred, Wilma, Barney, and Betty all return as the focus of the show, and the kids, Pebbles and Bam Bam, who previously had their own Joni Loves Chachi style series where they were teenagers and played in a rock band, were de-aged back to toddlers. On the voice cast front, we have Henry Corden playing Fred, and he had done some voice work as Fred in the past. He took over from Alan Reed, who passed away between the end of the last show in '74 and the production of this one. Jean Vanderpyle returns as Wilma, as does Mel Blanc as Barney. Gay Otterson plays Betty, and I've heard some people say that she took over the role after B. Benaderet left, but in actual fact, she's the fourth Betty of many. June Foray originally playing Betty in the pilot episode. The role was then taken over by B. Benaderet. And then she was followed in 1964 by Jerry Johnson, who voiced Betty for a couple of years until Gay Otterson took over from 1971 until 1981. The series ran for 2 seasons on NBC, with the first season being entirely composed of brand new episodes of the new Fred and Barney Show, and the second season consisted of only 7 new episodes, along with reruns of the first season's episodes paired up with segments featuring Marvel Comics' character The Thing and cartoonist Al Cap's character The Shmoo. It should be noted that second season orders for animated shows at the time were often much smaller than the first seasons, which is why so many shows would get rebranded or reimagined during this period. Good examples of those being, you look at Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? First season, it's a full order. Second season, it's like 7 episodes. You look at a show like Josie and the Pussycats. They could have gone to a second season, but instead of just getting a 7-episode order, they decided, well, let's rebrand, let's reimagine, so it becomes Josie and the Pussycats in Outer Space. You get a full order because it's a brand new show, which means more episodes produced, which means more jobs kept, and more revenue created for the studio. Now, on this new set from Warner Archive, we've got 2 BD50 discs in a standard dual-hubbed keep case with no slipcover. There are also no inserts or booklets, and each disc sits on its own spindle on either side of the case. Warner Archive has done a new 4K scan, as per usual, of the original negatives for the episodes, and the audio included is a DTS HD Master Audio 2.0 mono track. Assembled in this set are the 17 episodes produced for the 2 seasons of the show, of course minus the Thing and Shmoo segments, which Warner's no longer has the rights for. Whenever possible, Warner Archive does try and present the shows and films they release in their original presentations, like the recent Huckleberry Hound set, for instance, but in some cases that's just not possible. In the case of the new Fred and Barney Show, honestly, I would almost argue that it's preferable. I get for posterity's sake, it might be fun to include those Thing and Shmoo segments, but these episodes stand alone, they're self-contained. It doesn't really affect the flow of the Fred and Barney episodes, I'm perfectly fine with them being included as is. I can see the argument for including those Thing and Schmoo segments. Your mileage may vary, but like some of the Golden Collection DVD sets from years past with like the Herculoids or Space Ghost and Dino Boy, just kind of separating the other shows it was connected with and just releasing the segments that are related to those characters, I'm fine with that. It's also worth noting that the episodes on this set appear to be in production order rather than broadcast order. Right out of the gate, the episode Barney's Luck, which aired April 7th, 1979, which would make it the 10th and final episode of the first season, slots in as the second episode, which, again, because there's no continuity, because there's no follow through with episode to episode, this is fine with me. All the episodes are presented in their original 1.33 to 1 aspect ratio, and the picture here looks really solid. Colors are vibrant and rich throughout. There is the occasional scene or two that has some uncharacteristic softness, but this is the best this show has probably looked since leaving the Hanna-Barbera studio to be delivered to the network. So, again, I'm okay with this. Considering the age of the show, some of the softer scenes could be the result of whatever source elements Warner Archive had to work with. There may be some reconstruction work being done with second or third generation elements, but it doesn't detract from the viewing experience, and Warner Archive has proven time and again that they do the very best with the materials that are available to them. So honestly, they're doing the Lord's work with so many of these classic films, television series, and animation that they're getting to market. As for the show itself, it's okay. Admittedly, I'm not the biggest fan of these episodes, revisiting them now 45 years later, but if you are a big Flintstones fan, I would say this is a must-have item. If you have the original series on DVD, or even the questionable Blu-ray set that came out in 2020, the new Fred and Barney Show is a great complimentary set to have on your shelf next to those. I love the fact that Warner Archive has been diving deep into the HB catalog to bring us shows that have never been previously released on home video, in some cases in their entirety and in some cases ever. The new Fred and Barney Show felt like an odd set to be putting out, but it totally fits the criteria, and it's nice to see some of the later productions from the studio getting the physical media treatment. It's great and necessary to get the Huckleberry Hounds and the Jetsons and the Scooby-Doos out into the world, but there are dozens upon dozens of shows and material yet to be released, and I love that Warner Archive is taking some chances and putting stuff like the new Fred and Barney Show out there. That said, would I recommend this? Absolutely. If you're a Flintstones completist, an HB collector, or just curious to try something new and you have some mad money to spare. The archivist in me adores this set, even though the viewer in me is somewhat lukewarm towards the show itself. It would have been nice to see some bonus features of some kind, but in a way, having these out there remastered and to physically own is kind of a bonus feature in and of itself. The economics of it just can't justify the extras, so we're kind of lucky just to have the show at all. I don't know how much of this set would appeal to a very casual viewer, though. Hanna-Barbera shows in the 70s and 80s had some odd pacing and weren't quite as fun and punchy as their earlier predecessors from decades past. I do think this show lacks the broader appeal that some of the more nostalgic shows in the HB library have, but there's definitely a lot of brand recognition to be had with Flintstones characters being front and center, and there are some legitimately fun episodes in the bunch. I think I'm going to give the new Fred and Barney Show a grade of B+. It has a great overall presentation, but is losing some points for being a bit on the bare bones side and lacking any features of any kind. I do think that some people who might be on the fence about buying this set might be able to overcome any misgivings they may have if there was a commentary or a short doc or something like in the old days. Even some Cocoa Pebbles ads or something would have been cool. I'm glad it exists, and I'm glad I have a copy. If you have any interest in supporting Warner Archive's efforts to bring you material like the new Fred and Barney Show and have some curiosity about the series, head on over to moviezing.com, which is the online store for Allied Von and a great place to get yourself a copy of this set or various other HB shows and movies. That's moviezing.com, MOVIEZYNG.com. And speaking of Allied Von, they provided me with this copy of the Blu-ray for my review, and all my opinions and ratings are entirely my own. I'd be curious to know what all of you think about this release, so feel free to leave a comment in the comment section of wherever you're getting your podcasts, or feel free to email me at scoobypodcast@gmail.com. If I get some good messages and comments, I may just read them on a future episode of the HBAV Club. I would also encourage you to like and share the episodes and subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Reviews are always great too, as they do feed the algorithm and help get the podcast into the eyes and ears of anyone who might be interested in what I talk about here, but just don't know I exist yet. And thanks again to everyone for checking out the HBAV Club. It's looking like the next episode will likely be on the Loopy-de-Loop Blu-ray that's coming out at the end of February. And they've also just announced a Laugh Olympics set for March, so we also have that to look forward to as well. So, until next time, I've been your host, Mike Josick, and we'll see you on the next HBAV Club. Now go watch some cartoons.